Welcome to County Board Wrap-Up. I'm your host, Kara O'Donnell, and joining us today, as always, is County Board Chair Jay Fisette. Each month, the chair answers questions about some of the key decisions the board took at its public meeting that affect you, your family, and your community. Thanks for joining us, Jay, as always.
Nice to be here.
Let's dive right in here with some more historical items, shall we say. And let's start off with the Stratford School building. We made the decision this past meeting to convert this into a neighborhood middle school. This is a really complex process, correct? Let's kind of walk through here.
Yep. Well, I think the schools have growing enrollment, so they have been undertaking a very significant growth plan. Their capital plan over the next 10 years really covers the projected growth over the next 10 years. And last month, we dealt with the Wilson School. That school in Roslyn will become the new home of H.B. Woodlawn. That opens up the current H.B. Woodlawn building, the Stratford building, the old historic Stratford building, to become a neighborhood middle school. And we'll be adding an addition. So the capacity between the two schools will be at least 1,000 seats addition. The big challenge with the Stratford School, and there are challenges with every school when you do an addition. What's the most logical place? How do you protect the environment? How do you deal with transit and transportation needs? Was also that this one is an old historic, a very important historic resource in the county. So ensuring that the new design met and protected the historic integrity of that building was very important, and a lot of work with the neighbors, the school system, and the county to make sure that happened.
Now, are you happy with the outcome in the end?
It really turned out to be it's going to be a lovely building. The addition will be about 300 new seats. Most of the kids going to this school are going to be within the walk shed area, and that's what a neighborhood school is. So many of them will be able to walk, bike, and get to school without getting in a car. And the historic, I think I'll re-emphasize the importance of that. It helped guide where that addition went, because the integration issue, in Virginia, this was the first school to be integrated in the Commonwealth. And it has a very important place in history, so that where that addition went and how it was designed, how it sort of reflected or complemented the existing school building was very important in this process, and we really applaud the schools for doing a good job.
And the students are going to get an added history lesson every day when they're in the building, just being a part of that.
Absolutely. There'll be other ways, I think, throughout the building that this will be commemorated and captured.
Mm-hmm. Now, you touched on this at the beginning of the segment, but this is kind of an ongoing issue. We have rising enrollment here in Arlington, and we're running out of space within our schools. So this is kind of an ongoing issue, isn't it?
It's a big challenge for the community. I mean, I say this all the time, we're victims of our own success. The schools are so good that as new folks come to the county, and some are drawn to the county because of our public school system, we have to meet the needs, and we are. One of our biggest challenges is land. And we know that, and we learned it through the community facility study. So we're looking to build up, we're looking to build under, we're looking to build over, we're looking to do joint facilities. We have not had a school building built in decades that is only a school building. All of them are open to the community for a variety of meetings, whether it's the use of the gym or the theater or meeting space for the community. So everyone, including this new Stratford Middle School, will actually serve many needs of the community, whether inside the building or the fields and open space outside the building.
Okay, what are some of the other school projects that, I know we touched Wilson School, looking down the horizon, are there any others that are on the agenda?
This month, we're taking up another one. So we had 3 in a row. We had Wilson School in February. In March, we had the Stratford Middle School. And next month, we will take up a use permit request for a brand new school, TJ Elementary School, on the campus of the existing Thomas Jefferson Middle School. And that one has gone through a broad community process. I think there's a lot of consensus, as we understand it, working toward the board for this use permit. But that will be a brand new school. In fact, I believe it's the Patrick Henry Elementary that will move there and open up the Patrick Henry School that exists now to be a different school.
What do you think is really the key to kind of getting that balance between meeting the school's need for more space, but then keeping budgets in check and making sure all of our space is well utilized? Is it really the flexibility?
Well, it's collaboration. Honestly, there are very few communities in which the school system, which is separately elected, and the county or city work nearly as collaboratively as we do. We're forced into it, partly because of limited land. It's all public land, so we have to make the best use of it. But we also have such a common set of values and goals here. Everyone, whether you have kids in the school system or not, values public education. I mean, only 15% or so of our adults have kids in the public school system, maybe 16, 17% now. But all the rest still understand the value of investing in public education because that is the future, whether it's your kids or someone else's kids. So we work really hard at it. And that's why every one of these buildings has to have multiple purposes and uses to be able to sort of justify that investment, but also take advantage of limited land resources.
It's kind of a good problem to have that our schools are so good, more and more people want to come here.
That's the way I look at it. It's the same with land. We have more people that want to live in the county than we have room for. It's a challenge, something we have to tackle, something we're capable of tackling, but it's because a lot of things are working and going right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, moving on to another kind of property type of issue in the Reeves Farmhouse. Now, this has been a discussion kind of on and off for quite some time, but what was the action that the board took in March? Where do we go from here?
Yeah, this is the Reeves Farmhouse is something that the county, it's a beautiful old farmhouse, one of the last working farms in the county. And the family sold it to the county, I'm thinking about 15 years ago now, early 2000s. I don't remember the date exactly. And we have been figuring out what to do with the property. It's a significant amount of acreage and this older building in an outlot. And you know, in the end, what we have done at the recommendation of the manager is decide that we will segment off the house itself and sell it, put it on the market for someone to purchase, probably for a very low cost, knowing they will make a significant investment in it to live in the home, to protect the historic character of the home. There will be all sorts of limitations on what they can do to that home. Any changes would have to be approved by a Historical Affairs and Landmark Review Board. So the historic integrity of the home will be preserved with outside investment. 80% of the land will remain parkland. The sledding hill, the area where there's some raised beds with the Lawns to Lettuce for Lunch program, the Reeves Land Learning Center, all of that will be protected. In fact, we'll enhance that. We'll get some water to those beds, build in the infrastructure for that. It's adjacent to Bluemont Park. There were definitely those in the community that wanted the county to purchase and then reinvest in it, protect the home ourselves, put $2-3 million into it. We did not find the partner. We really thought we might find a partner to help raise the money to do that. In the end, we did not. And I think however, this recommendation of the manager, which the board supported 5-0, will in fact accomplish the majority of goals that we have, if not all of them.
And some of the community benefits, the lettuce to lunch program.
Lawns to lettuce to lunch
program.
Will
and
continue.
Of course, the kids are going to be happy that sledding hill still
Sledding hill's there, and 80% of it will remain parkland, you know, connected to Bluemont Park. So, and then the building will be preserved with some outside investment.
Property.
Somebody will be actually able to live in it and enjoy it. So, I think it's a good solution. It took us a while to get here because we explored other options pretty intently.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll tell you why you should abandon any plan you might have to buy a lion, tarantula, or monkey as a pet. Welcome back to County Board Wrap-Up, where we take a closer look at the important actions taken by the County Board. We're here today with County Board Chair Jay Fisette, as always. And this issue is kind of a hot topic around Arlington and has been since it first got on the radar, because of course it deals with our pets, and we love our pets. But this is kind of dealing with a different sort of pets, so to speak, the exotic animals and the idea of possibly banning wild and exotic animals. Tell me what the board decided at this meeting.
We didn't decide anything at this meeting yet. We punted for a couple of months to get more information. I think people ask me, why are you doing this? And the answer is we were asked to do this. And it came from a number of community activists and people who care about animals and the Animal Welfare League, the Arlington Animal Welfare League. So on their request, we took up and the staff looked at an ordinance that would prohibit certain types of exotic animals from being in the county. Do we know if they're here now? We're not really, we don't know. Probably there are some, but it's not like we've had a big issue. Arguably, this is about preempting a problem if it were to happen. And I think many jurisdictions have done this in the past, including some of our neighbors, I think Fairfax as well. So that's why we're doing it. We did hear from a lot of people when the ordinance draft came up this last month. And based on that input, a lot of people, a lot more than I would have known, actually know something about this or have exotic pets or have dealt with them in one form or fashion, some within the county and some outside the county. So we decided to make sure the staff engaged with these folks, got the benefit of their information to see if maybe something should be removed from the list that's a more common pet that really isn't a problem. So they're spending a little more time to refine the proposal.
But again, we have not had any kind of incidents or anything like that involving a resident and perhaps, an exotic animal.
A lion.
Right.
Right. Actually, we did years ago. We had a venomous snake in the county that got loose, and that led to the county changing the ordinance regarding certain snakes.
Certain snakes specifically.
And so this is sort of, you could argue, the next logical progression, although it hasn't generated by a lion or a bear getting loose that was a pet.
Okay. And just so we're very clear for anybody, this is not a first step in banning all pets. We love our pets here in Arlington, right?
Oh, Kara, no. No, I mean, no.
Good to know.
Dogs and cats and your typical domestic pets, we love them.
My four-legged friends at home are happy to hear that.
Good.
Now, just kind of transitioning a bit, we've talked about immigration and the current situation here in the country for several episodes here now, but
Sure.
You really had the opportunity to witness something very special here recently involving immigration. Tell me a little bit about the service you attended.
Yeah, thanks for asking about this because I think I've been on the board 20 years. It was the first time I was invited. I think the board members were invited to participate in an immigration and naturalization service citizenship program where 58 folks became American citizens. They get their certificate, they say the oath of allegiance. It was at our central library, and Katie, Crystal, the vice chair, and I, John was there, Christian was there to enjoy this as well. Obviously, beyond the 58 new American citizens, many of their family members and friends were there. And it was a very emotional moment, not just for the 58 people that came from 28 different countries, but for all of us. To hear the Pledge of Allegiance, to hear the national anthem, it just brought tears to your eyes about what those songs, what those words meant. And it was, that's America at its best, on its best day, really.
Mm-hmm. And you said some of these folks who are new U.S. citizens spent years going through the process, and this was kind of the culmination of all of that.
As they get called up, one at a time, some are 75 or 80, and they've been working towards this for 30 or 40 years. Others are 35, and each reacts, you can just see it. And the last woman just turned around at the audience and screamed her happiness. And I talked to her afterwards. She came to this country at 18 to be a nanny. And this is 35 years ago. And the woman that was there taking her picture was the little girl she came to be a nanny for, who had, she said to me, pushed her and helped her through all the hoops and hurdles to actually pursue her citizenship. So, I mean, that's just one story of 58. There were 58 similar stories there that morning.
Wow, it's really a touching experience.
Yeah.
Kind of puts that human face on this whole situation. I mean, it's something that's been in the news again this week with different communities, some of our neighboring communities, voting on whether to become sanctuary cities. But this is really the kind of human side that comes from that. These are the folks who come here want to be part of our community. They want to be American citizens.
And most of them have been here many, many years. They are, by all intents and purposes, they've accepted, embraced what this country is. And I guess one of my messages to them was, you know, keep getting involved in your local community, whether it's Arlington or Fairfax or a neighboring jurisdiction. They were from all over the region. Find ways, because that's what America is. America allows people, encourages people to get involved in their PTA, in the school, in the neighborhood civic association, in a nonprofit helping, you know, provide food to the less advantaged. There are lots of ways, so keep doing that. Keep making your contribution. At the same time, don't let go of the special parts of your heritage, whatever they are, because we're stronger by you holding on to some of that and sharing it along the way.
And of course, you can watch the full ceremony still on Arlington TV and I believe on Facebook, on our Facebook page as well. And Chris, just we should mention that we do have resources on our website for our immigrant population.
Yeah, for all the issues you know, out there that are changing every day through this administration and the concern and the angst. We've been working for several months, and the schools are doing the same. We launched a very robust webpage, you know, about immigration resources that everyone who has questions should look to first to see if it answers your questions about the role of the county police and what the role is, what the role isn't, where you can go to find assistance and resources, and hopefully it will answer many of your questions. And because this is a moving issue and we're responding on a regular basis, that web page will be updated on a regular basis.
All right. Well, it's something we're going to probably be talking about for
sadly,
quite some time.
Sadly, but sad but true.
All right. Thanks, Jay. We're going to take another quick break now, but when we come back, it's more budget talk. Don't go away. Welcome back to our final segment of County Board Wrap-Up. We're here talking with Board Chair Jay Fisette. And of course, now we're going to turn to talking about the FY18 budget. The board's working hard on refining the budget before it's adopted in April. Jay, where do we stand right now with the budget discussions?
Well, you know, this is one of the big things we do every year. We deal with development issues and projects, and we deal with the budget on an annual basis. Local governments are required to balance the budget, unlike the federal government. And this is a very intensive couple of months for us. The manager proposed his budget in February. We had to, at that point, with very little lead time, decide what to advertise as the maximum real estate tax rate we could consider. And we took his recommendation and adopted something that was 2 pennies higher than now. We don't know what we'll adopt in the end. But we've been going through very intensive budget work sessions with the various departments. We had our public budget hearing, heard from the community last week on the expense side, mostly people asking for new services or to the protection of existing services. We had a public hearing on the tax rate, what people thought we should be setting that real estate tax rate at. And now we're in the last couple of weeks where board members will be trying to digest all that, talk among ourselves, decide where we want to set the budget for the coming fiscal year, which starts July 1.
Now, the manager did come back after presenting the initial budget. You asked him to come back with a series of optional cuts to make. What were some of the things that came up on that list, and how has that affected the discussion?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, honestly, anytime you're advertising an increase in the rate, you don't want to increase the tax rate. You don't want to increase the burden unless you can justify to yourself that you've looked as hard as you can, and the staff and the departments have looked as hard as they can at finding ways to reduce unnecessary cost or deal with some duplication of service or find more efficiencies. I mean, that's part of our job. And we work hard to push. So does the Citizen Fiscal Affairs Advisory Commission. So when we advertised the potential, and that potential increase was specifically for two things. One penny the manager is recommending go to Metro because we have a significant new cost. That is new. And the second is enrollment in the schools. We have a significant growth of, close to 1,000 kids, I believe, this year is projected as well. So with that, we decided that we also needed to ask him once again to go give us a set of optional cuts that we would look at very hard to determine if there was something that we could do without. And so he gave us close to really $7 to maybe it's $11 million in optional reductions. He is not recommending those, but he is saying in response to us,
sure,
if I had to, these are the things I would reduce, and now it's up to us to consider whether any of those are acceptable cuts.
Mm-hmm. Now, sometimes you hear from residents that Arlington County has this series of budget reserves. Well, why don't we just use that instead of increasing the tax rate? What do you say to that?
Well, it's a complicated issue, but the bottom line is what is a reserve? It's not just a rainy day fund. What a lot of people call reserves are really earmarked capital funds. We have a commercial real estate assessment on commercial property. By state law, it's dedicated to transportation. You collect that. As it grows, before the projects are paid for, it might grow, and there might be money sitting in there, $20 million, $50 million, $100 million as big projects are planned down the road. You can't use that money to balance this budget. It's earmarked and restricted. Our stormwater fund, our affordable housing fund, there are a number of funds that are segregated. Now, that said, there are also funds that the bond rating agencies require us to have should there be an extraordinary crisis, so that we qualify for the lowest interest rates available on the planet. If we didn't have these reserve funds, which are rarely, if ever, touched, and you hope you never touch them, if you don't have them, you don't get the interest rates we get. So we're having a work session, in fact, soon, to better understand all these funds and to see if there's anywhere we can squeeze. But good financial management suggests you need these funds, whether for your bond rating, whether for your capital projects. And our question to the manager will be, is there any flexibility in here? Do we have anywhere where we could shift some of these dollars?
Because once again, these expenses for Metro, for the continuing growth in the school system, these are things that have to be done, correct?
Yeah, yes. Those two extraordinary needs the manager identified are extraordinary, and they are important for us to find the funds for.
Mm-hmm. Now, will there be another opportunity for the public to weigh in, or we had the public meetings, or?
This is Arlington. There's always, honestly, we're getting emails, dozens of them a day, from people who have a point of view, want to tell us either about a concern or support for a particular project that may be in that manager's proposed optional cuts, or the additional money for the schools or for Metro. They like it or they don't like it. And we're hearing from everyone, and we hear through email, we hear through conversations. We have meetings set up with larger groups of people. The public budget hearing is over, so that optional way of reaching us is over. But you can share your views any number of ways up until the 22nd when we adopt the budget, April 22nd.
Okay, and so that date will be coming up quickly, and of course we'll be talking about that again next month, I'm sure.
See how it turns out.
All right. Thank you, Jay. And that brings us to the end of another County Board wrap-up. We hope today's conversation with the Board Chair has given you some insight into some of the important decisions being made that affect you, your family, your neighborhood, and your county. Remember, to learn more about the budget process and today's other topics, visit topics.arlingtonva.us/engage on the county website. That's our civic engagement webpage, and that's where you can share your ideas and learn how to get involved in the county issues that you care about. We'll see you next month.